We're going to bench test the Unify EVO 5.8 HV. Let's get straight into it. So according to the internet, this is a Swiss Army knife of VTXs. One of you subscribers had asked if I was going to review and bench test this specific one, and initially I wasn't, but after reading some of the specs on this thing, I decided, yeah, I absolutely have to. So in the packaging, we get the transmitter, and this one's a little bit different. It looks like it's got possibly a UFL connector, and they secured it with this piece of brass strapping. And then they also secured it with a piece of shrink tubing. So this is not coming off, and this is not bad. Like, I don't mind this so long as your build will allow you to have a straight piece like this. A lot of my builds, I require a 90. For instance, the Beast class and the TBS Unify Pro 32 HV on the Beast class here, I have a 90 that's gonna go here. So some builds, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could put this here, and then I'm looking at interference with the wiring there. I guess I could put it here, but now I'm looking at, is this even gonna fit? No. So provided that your build will allow it, you know, just something to be aware of. And while we're into that, let's check the measurements on this guy. This measures out at 31 by 22.8 millimeters, and at its thickest point, we're just shy of 7. And I'll measure the whole length of this, just for those of you who want to know. 79.26. So it's definitely not small, or thin for that matter. And let me get you guys a weight. This is very light. This just came in at 8 grams, and if I measure the wiring, believe it or not, the wiring's 2 grams. So in this, and they have everything listed here nicely, but again, they put it on the back when you're probably going to mount it down. So my quick suggestion is to actually take a picture of the back or write down the order of what everything is. So the way this works, we've got our main lead here, and the other nice thing, actually just noticing that you can actually solder to these pads. These are broken out all the way around, so if you wanted to, you could remove these pin headers. The issue that you're going to have there is this antenna system is just as tall as these pin headers, so if you remove these, you still have the USB connector and the screws here to really worry about. So it's almost not worth it unless you're like me, where you want a wired connection to everything. So the way this works is we've got our 7 to 26 volt and our ground. This is to power this unit. Then we have power coming out of the unit. The orange is your 5 volt out, and this black one here is ground. Then you have your video. This goes to your camera. Most people will clip these off. This one you can hook directly. I usually run this stuff through the flight controller. Then finally we have the green wire. This is your Crossfire TX1 wire. This is also your smart audio wire if you're going to hook that up and not use the Crossfire. I happen to like the ability to use the Crossfire to change everything. And then the white one is the Crossfire RX. So the green one we want to hook to an RX, which will probably be channel 4. Hook that to channel 4 on the Nano and map channel 4 to an RX, and then this RX wire hooked to a TX. That'll be channel 3. Remap that channel to TX. And then you'll be able to operate this with Lewis grips or with the Crossfire module directly. So next, they supply us with this next wire here, and this clips right in there. This, you have a 5-volt out, you have a TX out, you have an RX in, and you have another ground. This is an expansion port, so if you want to hook up sensors, you'll be able to control them with the Crossfire unit as well. So continuing on with the layout of this board, we've gone over the pin headers. We have our USB in. This is good for if you want to update the firmware of this device, and the other thing is you can go into the TBS Agent software and you can change your channels, you can change your output power. There's a lot that you can do with the Agent software. The one thing to note here, some users have trouble where they're using the Agent software and they're not they'll adjust their power levels in their channel to whatever they want, and it will not take. You do have to unlock the device if you're going to move off the 25 milliwatt setting. So just know that once you do unlock the device, then you are able to do what you like with the output power and the channels. So just know that's a thing. The button is right here, so we're going to be using that a lot. And here's just a good look at the back and a good look at the front. So this is a smoking little ESC. I am surprised by all this thing does. So this has its own OSD. It'll output from 25 milliwatts all the way to up 800 milliwatts. It's got a built-in microphone. It's all controlled by one button, which I don't know how I feel about. I almost feel like a second button might be nice, but that's just me. This is a regulated voltage output for the camera, so we shouldn't get any voltage spikes out of it. You can control it by Crossfire or Smart Audio. The other cool thing that you can do if you have it set up via Crossfire, you can update the firmware via Crossfire or the TBS Agent software. Being able to update it through Crossfire, that's cool. And the other thing that this does, and we're going to test it out today, you can actually change channels just by barcode, looking at it through the camera. That's crazy. That's absolutely mental. It's got a pit mode, and you can get into the pit mode by holding this button and then powering up the quad. Releasing the button, you're now in pit mode. To get out of it, just unplug your quad, plug it back in, and it'll go. But I think you can also hit this button for 3 seconds and it'll take you out of pit mode. The other nice thing about this is it's got a clean startup feature. So a lot of other VTXs, when you fire them up, it might output, say, at 200 milliwatts, but there might be a voltage spike where you're outputting much higher than that. And if you're at a race event, if you're flying with your friends and you power up and you get that voltage spike, you might blow out their camera for the moment that, you know, maybe they're doing something awesome. So this prevents that, and that's really cool for group flight. So according to their claims, this has a 25 milliwatt setting, a 100 milliwatt setting, a 400 milliwatt setting, and an 800 milliwatt setting. I want to test to make sure that this thing actually outputs those values. So the other thing I want to test is the temperature limiter in this. It's set by default to 105 C, which is 215 degrees Fahrenheit. So I want to make sure that works. I'm not going to test each individual level of that, but I definitely want to test the default. So let's go ahead and we're going to unlock this device. We're going to hook it to a camera, and I actually have this guy here too, so you guys will be able to see what the camera sees. So something I just noticed here, I wasn't getting any power to this camera. This is not set up correctly. If we look here, you can see there's 4 inputs on this pin header. We need 3, and the ground needs to be the top one. So I was actually putting power into the ground of this camera. No wonder why it was not firing on. So what I had to do was move each of these over 1 so that the empty space is not on the right, it's on the left. And this should now allow us to power this camera. So the way I have this set up is I've got the battery lead in, I've got the camera wires out, the crossfire wires are the only ones not connected. Got the antenna wire straight into our tester, and this is in the default mode. It's on race 4, 25 milliwatts, 11.2 volts. That should be the voltage in this. And we are at the default setting. This says 25 milliwatts. And over here, what we're concerned with is not this 14, but the number below it, that's 29. And if I record a temperature here, I'm gonna record the temperature here, just to give you a room temperature. Room temperature is 79.4 degrees Fahrenheit. And the temperature on this device right now is 130. And it's relatively stable. It's 134 degrees. So 25 milliwatts, we're not getting super hot. If I measure the back of this, it's a little hotter. The back is at 150, it jumped to 142. So the first thing that we're gonna wanna do is we need to unlock this device to get any higher output of it. So to do that, we need to be in the band selection menu. To get there, we wanna press and hold this button right here for 3 seconds. We're getting 1 flash of the red, and then this is denoting channel. Okay, and we also have a higher OSD here. So we want to press and hold this again for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Now we are in the band selection menu. So now we need to hold the the button for 25 seconds. Okay, that's 25. I'm gonna hope that that is unlocked. So I am going to go and press this for 3 more seconds. 1, 2, 3. So we just got out of the menus, and as you can see, we have both lights lit. Barely. You can barely see that because they're awfully bright. We were on race 4, 25 milliwatt. So I'm going to try. This is, bam. Wow. So I just showed it the barcode for race 1. Let's see if that actually jumped to race 1. It did. That's crazy. So we are on race 1, 25 milliwatts, and we are outputting 34 milliwatts. And I'll measure this. This is 75 degrees C, and that's 167 degrees Fahrenheit. So we are getting the rated output at 25 milliwatts. Let's go ahead and bump this up to 100 milliwatts. Let me tell you, this is convenient. This is convenient. So let's go ahead and check that. So we are now on the 100 milliwatt setting, and as you can see here, we are outputting 140 milliwatts. This is pretty good. This is a little over the rated output. And if I check this, we are 166 degrees Fahrenheit and 74.6 C. Let's go ahead and bump this up to the 400 milliwatt setting. So let's show this to the camera. There we go, it just took. Race 1, 400 milliwatts. And here we are. We are outputting at 630-ish milliwatts. And if we temperature check that, that's still 71.5, 160 degrees Fahrenheit. I expect that to go up if we sit here and wait. It's actually fairly steady. If I'm just holding this here, 169, 170, 169, the temperature is not budging at all. 172 it maxed out at, and if I flip that to Celsius, 177.8. And we are still up here around 600. So it did start to fall briefly, but again, we're at the 400 milliwatt and we're still 200 milliwatt above the rated output. So far, so good. Let's go ahead and check the output on max power, which for this unit is 800 milliwatts. I'll put that right there so you guys can see it. And the camera is not picking it up. There it is. So sometimes it's quick, sometimes not so much, but I tell you what, that's a lot quicker than going through the menu system. So here we are in the highest output, 800 milliwatts on race 1. And as you can see here, we are right at 820 milliwatts. So it is outputting its rated power. And notice it's starting to fall and then it came right back up. So what I think we have happening here is the temperature output, and this thing has melted itself to my desk. This is hot. It's very hot. So let's go ahead and check the temperature on that. We are at right around 75. So temperature has climbed a little bit. That's 168. And I'll just put this on and hold it for just a minute here. See if I can get temperature to climb at all. Yeah, there we go, 82. So the temperature is climbing. This should get to about 215. Turn that back on so you guys can see it. But we are 870. This is pretty good. Let's see if we can hit the top there. $181, 185. We should be limiting at 105C. 83, 84, 86. Sorry, that's a little off camera. And just so you know, I am shooting below. The laser's here and the heat gun is here. So when you see the laser here, I actually do have the beam right on. So just know that, like, I'm not aiming off camera or off the device. That's actually dead on. So 72C, so right about there, just below it is about where we want it. If I put it right on it, you can see the temperature drops. So right about there is good. So we are below the rated temperature. It's not even close to the limiter, and we are just starting to dip under the 800 milliwatts. So the temperature limiter is kind of kicking in, it seems, but we're right around the rated output, so I am happy with that. So that's a quick look at the TVS Unify EVO. I'm impressed with this little guy. It's outputting what it says. The features on it work. The camera function, showing it barcodes, that is nuts. The only thing I wish was available is a booklet of these instead of printing out PDFs. You know, unless you're printing it on Teslin, which is going to get super expensive, there's really no good option. There's like 150 barcodes, so really I would like to see it in a book of Teslin paper, something that's a little bit waterproof. So if you're watching and you have the capability or availability to put something like that together in a nice book form or something, definitely get in touch with me. Let me know, and if you want, I can show you, show other subscribers. I'm highly interested in something like that because I will be using this in a few builds. So if you think you're gonna put this in a build, if you've already purchased one and like it or hate it, let me know in the comments below. I'm interested to see how your use case is working out for you. And if you haven't done it already, just go ahead and punch that subscribe button, because you only get to do it once, and it's fun. And I'll catch you later. Peace.